This is the Unemployed Actress. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Unemployed Actress. I am Lobcke, I am her is she, and she is me. And this week, we're going to talk about one of my favorite musicals. It's not the favorite, but it's in the top 5. Yes? And that musical is The Last 5 Years. Essentially, we're going to speak about the dynamics of a relationship between two creatives, right? A creative and creative relationship and what that looks like. In movies, The Last 5 Years is one such movie. It's a musical. It explores a 5-year relationship between a writer and an actress. When they meet one another, they're both unsuccessful, struggling writer and actress. And over the course of the 5 years, their careers take off different trajectories, and that, of course, changes their relationship dynamics. When the film starts, no spoiler really, this is how the film starts, you know their relationship is over. The opening song is Still Hurting, and the first few lines is Jamie is over and Jamie is gone. Jamie's decided it's time to move on. So you already know this relationship, it ends, right? It's over, it's done. So now we're waiting to explore how so, what happened, how did we get here? And the course of the relationship explains how their creative careers developed. She started as a struggling actress, and throughout the film, she remained a struggling actress. Her career didn't evolve beyond that. He started as a struggling writer, but then his book gets picked up by Random House. His career explodes. He's suddenly in rooms he never thought he'd be in. He's surrounded by people he never thought he'd be surrounded by. Women who never used to give him a second look are now hanging on his every word. And he's just like, now enjoyment. Now I'm in this marriage and I love my wife, but models are hitting on me. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Doors that have never been opened to me are now busted wide open, and far be it from me not to walk through them. And for her, it's like we started on an even playing field. I was supportive of your career, you were supportive of my career, but now I'm sort of in the shadow of your career. I am now just there to speak well of your career and how you're doing and the creative process and how amazing and great you are. And I don't even get that experience for my own career. And the film progresses, and there's different points in their marriage and in their relationship that we explore really. One of the most fun songs that I enjoy, because I relate to that song so much, is I Can Do Better Than That. Because she talks about being a girl from a small town and seeing the lives of the people around her and just thinking, I can do better than that. Like, none of this is what I want. I'm headed to the big city to make a success of my acting career, because I don't want any of this. Like, none of this. This is not for me. So I'm head out. And she does. She does head out, and she heads out with enthusiasm. And she goes to the rehearsals of summer plays. She goes to the casting, she goes to the audition, she prepares herself, she does everything that's necessary. But her career is just not going anywhere. Whereas he seems to be some wonderkin who's just blowing up. Everybody thinks the world of him. His books are doing great. And it's just a successful track for him. And for her, it's not that at all. And the now almost supportive, there for everything that she does, boyfriend and husband that she had, she doesn't have that anymore. Because now he's chasing his career. He's basically getting everything he's ever wanted, and he's going full steam ahead towards that. Far be it from us to begrudge him that. Far be it from me, because I'm like, you know what, same. once I start getting everything that I've wanted from my career, like, I'm unstoppable. So I'm heading towards that. I've always said to my friends, and we've always had this discussion, right, that I don't think I'll ever date another creative. I don't think I can, because I understand the creative process. I understand what it's like to be a creative with a dream that's larger than anything else. And what that dynamic then looks like. I mean, there's also like what would you call it, career jealousy that you get, is what if their career is bigger than mine, or what if mine is bigger than theirs? How do we, you know, I just can't see it. I just can't see it. To me, it just feels like it will always be this slightly off kilter relationship. Even if we both remain struggling actors, there's something about having a dream that is larger than anything else in your life, and wanting to see that through and wanting to chase that. And from a creative space, I understand how much mental space that takes. My brain is not a quiet place. It's not. It is a loud space. It feels like I am constantly in an auditorium full of people, because there's constant voices going in my head. Very few things quiet that. And because that's always been my state of being, it's not strange to me. You know, it's just the way things sound in my head. And when my brain gets too full, I put it down to paper, or I have a podcast where I talk about whatever's in my head. So that's sort of part of my creative process. And I don't know what another creative person, what my creative partner's creative process would look like, and what it would look like to hold a space and a living space and a relationship with another creative. It just seems like too much. It just seems like a lot. And I don't want that. And maybe this is because the point of reference that I have for these kinds of relationships is film. I haven't seen it play out in real life. It's film. It's film is the point of reference. It is the last 5 years. It is La La Land. It is Malcom and Marie. And that's another film we're definitely getting into, is Malcom and Marie. I thought it was great. A lot of people is sort of, they hate it or they love it, but there's sort of no in between about how people feel about Malcom and Marie. Personally, I feel like that film should have been a stage play. And if you watch it, you will understand why it feels like Malcom and Marie should be a stage play. It is beautifully shot. It's very intimately shot. Malcom and Marie is basically a film where we follow a couple over the span of an evening. We follow them in an argument that they are having for an evening. And it's shot really closely. We're really in the actors' faces. We're really up close and personal with them. And what I love about it, because I have conversations like these all the time, it's their argument or their fight jumps in so many different directions. And it really explores what a creative to creative conversation looks like. Not that this doesn't happen in non-creative relationships or non-creative discussions that I don't know, but they really discuss his work, and then his influences, and then how she fits into the story, and how he's built the story off of her life. The fight really originates from the fact that he didn't thank her in his acceptance speech for an award he won for a film he basically based on her life. So she was like, you didn't even have you didn't even think to acknowledge me. You didn't even think to say thank you to me in front of people when you made a film about my life. And throughout the course of the film, we find out that she really wanted to play the part of basically herself in this film, and he cast someone else. So the conversation takes on so many talking points and um, so many topics, so many themes, and really about the selfishness that is a creative process sometimes as well. Because if you take from life, you usually take from your life, or you take from people you've met lives, and you put it into your work. I think of, as an actress, like, if there's a voice that a particular character needs, I usually think of someone I know who might have that voice. Like Melissa Rauch in The Big Bang Theory, she's someone who she plays Bernadette, and Bernadette has this high squeaky voice, and that's not Melissa Rauch's voice at all. And everybody asks her, where did you get this voice from? And she's like, oh, it's a barista at the coffee store, at the coffee shop I like to go to. And it's where the phrase, like, right, art imitates life comes from. So we do pick pieces of our lives and we use it in our creative works. And in Malcolm and Marie, he'd taken a lot of his experiences from their relationship and things she told him about her life, and he put it into a film. So this is the explosion of the fight that we are witnessing. We follow them through the kitchen, to the lounge, to the outside, to the bedroom, to the bathroom. And because it's always such a tight shot, you sort of feel like it should be a theater piece. It just feels like a theater piece. It feels like I should be sitting in the small, intimate theater and watching this couple just argue with one another, and then go on discussing things, and then circling back to their argument. But again, it's it's a relationship of creatives, right? It explores what that dynamic looks like, what it means to be creative, what it means to have a relationship with another person who is a creative, the toll that it can take on you. Jumping back to the last 5 years, there's in one of the songs, she describes being part of his creative process. And the lyrics are like, one day we're just like Leave It to Beaver, we're just a typical couple living a typical life. And the next day he's on a train to Jamieland, staring catatonic out of the window after a handful of Doritos. And it's sort of this, like, she's with a person, but she's also with their creativity. She's also with their creative process. You're also with their dreams, and what that looks like, what the impact that has on relationships and on couples, really. Again, my only frame of reference is films and famous actors. People always talk about the curse of the best actress, because I think it is Reese Witherspoon, Kate Winslet, Hilary Swank. Can't tell you who the others are. They aren't springing to mind immediately. Who are women who won the Best Actress Academy Award, and within a year of winning that award, their relationships had deteriorated. Their marriages had fallen apart. It also reminds me, Jennifer Lawrence used to date Darren Aronofsky, and she was dating him while they were filming Mother. And she'd spoken about it afterwards, about how that film, how much the strain it had on her relationship, because it was his film, it was basically his child. So all their entire relationship became about this film, became about Mother, became about how people received the film, what they thought of it, the reviews that came in, how days on set were. Like, their relationship wasn't separate from this film. and the relationship they had before taking on the project of him writing and directing Mother and her starring in it, their relationship could never revert back to what it was, because now it became all about this film. This film completely consumed their relationship. And those are two creatives, right? And you'd then ask, is it easier when creatives join with non-creative people? Does that make the relationship easier? Does it make it work because it's sort of two different brain hemispheres really meeting one another? It's the creative and then sort of the realist, and that makes for more of a successful pairing. We don't know. I can't say we know because my relationship's gay. We're not getting into that. That's not the point. But I do know in being, there is something really refreshing in being a creative and either being a relationship or being friends with people who aren't creatives, because you sort of get to share your creativity with them, but you also get some time off from that because they share their sort of real life living, if you will, their analytical, their realistic, financial, whatever it is that their part of life looks like. They get to share that with you, and it's not just this clash of creativity where you're in a space where that part of your brain is always on. I think I always appreciate that because, like I said, my brain is an auditorium hall that's always busy. And I think when I share creative knowledge, or I talk about creative things with someone, it's parallel to emptying a trash can. Like emptying it and then just letting it sit before it fills up again, and having that person just talk about their world and their lives and what it looks like for them. I remember the first time I found out that not everyone has brain noise. I was like, huh? So your mind is just quiet all the time? It's just you in there? What do you mean? What do you mean? It's me and like 100 people up here, 100 versions of me. It's silent in your brain? How do you stop from going crazy? Or am I crazy? Wait a minute. Hang on. that was my reaction. So really the exploration of a creative duo relationship for me stems from the films I've watched, but is also a really interesting conversation to have as to, would you ever as a creative date another creative? What does that look like? If that is a space that you are in, what does that look like? Interesting. And if you are a creative dating a non-creative, what is it that makes that relationship work for you? Is what I want to know. Tell me. Let's chat about that, because yeah, and those two aren't the only films I've seen. Don't worry. There are more, but they came to mind immediately because they are two of my favorite films on that particular topic, on the relationship of two creatives. Is The Last 5 Years and Malcom and Marie. I think some people will have La La Land up there instead. There's the darker side of things if you head towards the black swan of it all, but we'll get into the I suppose we'll call it the psychotic creatives. We'll definitely get into that because that is where Black Swan lives, and why that was also such an insanely good film. There's so much to talk about that, but that is not today. So I've told you about The Last 5 Years and about Malcom and Marie. If you've seen them both, go watch it again and then we chat. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. Or if you're not a musical person, at least watch Malcom and Marie. And then let's chat about that, because there's so many gems in the dialogue as well, where you're just like, okay, there's a sticking point. Let's talk about those. Let's talk about these things. Because there's a part where he tells her that he didn't take this film isn't her life. It's not about her. Basically, it's not that deep. Stop making it about you. And he starts listing all the women in his life that this film is based on, or who he basically stole characteristics from and put into his leading lady. And for her, she's so hurt. She's like, what was the point of you telling me about all of these women just so that you could win an argument, just so that you could say it wasn't me? That's not even what we're focusing on right now. So their argument has a lot of gems in it. There's a lot of gems, and it's something you should see. I don't know if you followed the entire train of thought that just happened here, but if you take away anything, I was talking about a creative to creative relationship, about films that you should see, which is The Last 5 Years and Malcom and Marie. Whether or not I think a relationship between two creatives works, and if they don't, why not? And why I feel like I wouldn't do that. No, thank you. No. I can't do a creative to creative relationship, right? I like the, sounds bad, but I like the normality and the mundane that someone who's not in the creative industry has to offer. They've got they've got very normal problems, whereas I think as a creative, it's a lot. The creative process is a lot. Which brings us to a film called Fair Play, right? To a couple in the same field, in the same job. One gets the promotion, the other one doesn't. And how that relationship explodes and deteriorates. So do you really want to be dating someone in the same field as you? Maybe it's not just a creative to creative thing. Do two lawyers want to be dating each other? Two doctors? What else is there? Two engineers? Two accountants? I don't know. Do you want to be dating someone in the same field as you? Or do you just need a break from your field when it comes to your relationships? And therefore you would prefer to date someone entirely different from you? Comment below. Let's discuss. Everybody who WhatsApps me or Instagrams me to chat to me about my episodes, please comment below so that we can chat about it there. Maybe you have a question or an observation that other people have and they didn't want to ask, so now they see it. Anyway, that is it. I am done for today. Guys, gals, people everywhere, thank you so much for coming to this week's episode of The Unemployed Actress. Remember to like, share, subscribe, do the things that need thingy. I'm trying to at least make it to 100 subscribers by December. So if we can get me there, that would be fantastic. But for now, have a good week ahead of you, and I will see you again next week.